the last of the speakers, Yaakov Aryeh, appropriately named.
You stole half of my speech and you stole the other half. Good night, everybody. I'm not kidding.
Not funny at all.
Well, it's okay to hear it again.
Anyways, I guess thank you all for coming out tonight to my grandfather's shloshim. You all knew my grandfather, each one in your own unique way, but I wanted to tell over a little more personal, you know, basically from Zadie's perspective. So he was born in Poland, everybody knows. As Zadie would say, we were young, and so on and so on, and so on and so on, and we grew older, and so on and so on, and so on. And everything was A1, and so on and so on. And we took the ting, and the ting, and so on and so on, period. That was his life. So, Baruch Hashem, everybody got a good laugh out of Zadie, and he always liked to laugh from people, and he was a great schmoozer, even though it might have been the casual 3-hour schmooze. But everyone had their schmooze, everyone knew his story, and everyone appreciated him for who he was. But in all seriousness, my grandfather, I could honestly say was, he was the epitome of Amor Ma'at V'aseh Harbeh, even though I just said he definitely was not Amor Ma'at, but his words were incorporated into his Aseh Harbeh, because through his stories, we got to live his testimony, his survival, and through that, he was also defeating the Nazis and the Russians, Yimach Shemam. But my grandfather, I'll just go a little more to the Aseh Harbeh. My grandfather was a man that was up at the crack of dawn. I don't know what time it was, 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock. No one knows because no one was up then. But that man was up. Literally, he woke up the morning. He was at shul, like my mother said, to make sure everything was running smoothly, whether it be Shabbos, the weekday, turning on the lights, taking care of everything. And he was definitely the last one out. Even in his later years, when he wasn't so well, you can tell how much shul and how much being a yid meant to him. That when he would come to our house for Shabbosim, he would sit in the front of the room like he would do at his house, watching shul. And, you know, when we would go to shul, he wouldn't really know what we were doing, but we were leaving. He assumed you leave a house while you're leaving to go to shul. So what would he do? He would go across the street to the neighbor's house, because he thought that was shul, but it was a routine that he had every day in his life. Every day he would go 3 times a day to shul. And even when he wasn't there, he still knew where he was supposed to go. Another thing that was important to Zadie was family. I think you can say that was the utmost importance to him. No one in my life, besides for cousin Moshe and Zadie, ever called me by my name, Yaakov Aryeh. Even though, I don't know why my parents chose Aryeh, but Zadie and Moshe were the only ones that ever called me Yaakov Aryeh. And I think that's because Zadie was a man that really valued his family. I'm named after Zadie's older brother, Uncle Yankel. Unfortunately, most of the Schoenberg family didn't make it out of Europe. But to continue Zadie's family legacy, I think, was one of the reasons why he would call me by my full name, so that his family would never be forgotten. Through this, as weird as it was, I definitely felt a very close relationship to him. Even though as a young boy, I didn't really want to be stuck listening to his stories, as no one did. But everyone...
I didn't mind.
But as I grew older, and unfortunately time was running out, and Zadie's condition was growing worse, and most of the time he wasn't really talking, so you were lucky if he even said something to you. I always found that when I sat next to him, he would almost like just become alive again and wouldn't stop talking, even if it was in Polish or Yiddish, which no one understood Polish. But and it's very nice that we all can gather as a family, the Schoenberg and Weinberg family, and that's our job. Zadie, we're trying to continue your legacy. which I'm sure is bringing much nachas to you and your parents and your brothers and sisters. And we daven that we can continue to be matzliach in your life's goals. And that you can be a male tziyosher not only for us, but all of Klal Yisrael.
Amen.
I just want to add one thing. In Zadie's later years, he was sitting downstairs and he had already really wasn't able to communicate that well, and sometimes he would sit on the couch for about an hour or two and not say a word. I came downstairs one night, he had been sitting on the couch, and I turned away from him, and he turned to me and he said, "Ellie, you're also an idiot." To this day, we have no idea why he said that. When I said, "What did you say?" He had forgotten already what he said, but the fact remains that he said it to me, and I'll never forget it.
Okay.